had your internship. Did you have any other internships anywhere else?
Yep. After Billings, I was able to intern in Topeka, Kansas, which was another really great experience, a wonderful station, a lot of really good people. I covered some incredible stories because I was one of the weekend reporters, one of the few weekend reporters. I got to be the lead reporter sometimes, which is really cool because I was still in college at the time. So I worked with incredible photographers who taught me a lot about just how to be on TV, how to write, and I got a really just wonderful experience there. And from there, I put together my tape, which is kind of what you do in the journalism world. You put together a bunch of little tiny clips of yourself that show your really good moments. You leave out the kind of bad ones, and there were plenty of those, which are probably somewhere out there. And from there, I graduated from Northwestern, and then I applied for jobs, and that was a tough couple of months.
Yeah.
TV's a tough business.
Now, I understand then your first job was in Tucson, and then was the next job here then at KSTP?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. What was that moment like when you heard that you were coming to Minnesota?
I was thrilled. I was in tears. I don't know if I've ever been happier in my life. I really, really wanted to get back to the Midwest. I loved Tucson. It was amazing. I met some really wonderful friends. I worked at a great station. I learned a lot. It was a tough couple of years. I worked really, really hard, but I was anxious to get back closer to my family. And John Mason called me one day, and I remember seeing an unknown number on my phone, and that was usually how the KSTP numbers showed up. And I remember seeing an unknown number, and I was like, this has to be John Mason, who's our assistant news director. And he called, and he was like, we want to offer you a job. And I was just like, I thought I was like pinching myself. Yeah. And I drove in to tell my boss at my old station, and she was really happy for me because she knew this was the job I really, really wanted. I was so lucky and thrilled to be here.
Great. Now, since you've been here a year, what are some of the stories that really have caught your attention that you've enjoyed a lot? Obviously, there's a lot of different subject matter that you cover, but what are the ones that really stand out to you?
Well, on the morning show, I was on the morning show for most of my first year. I just moved off the morning show about a month ago. Okay. So on the morning show, it's a lot of breaking news a lot of times, you know. Unfortunately, a lot of fires, a lot of homicides, a lot of the yucky stuff that people don't necessarily like to cover. But in those stories, you find a lot of really, really proud moments. A lot of really good Minnesotans come out helping each other. We covered a story about a lightning strike that ended up hitting two homes. Two homes were impacted by this lightning. It hit one of the gas meters, and two homes ended up on fire. And one of those homes, the room that got burnt was a little boy's room. I think he was about 8 years old. Okay. And he ended up, if you saw the room, you wouldn't believe that he ended up okay because the entire room was exposed just by, you know, the walls had come down. And,
scorched.
Yeah, totally scorched. And he made it out okay. His whole family was okay. And we reported the story at maybe, 7 o'clock that morning, 6 o'clock that morning. And by our midday hit, which was 11 o'clock, we had seen 20, 30 neighbors, church members come by dropping off clothes. Because, at that age, it's hard, you're changing sizes so quickly, it's hard to replace those things. Right. And so just the response from the community, and his dad had just gotten back from war, and people, just the response within, just seeing it on TV that morning, rushed over to the house. So, the hard part is covering what's happening that morning and a family's loss, but the really exciting part is the response from just everyday Minnesotans who are watching and really want to help.
Okay. Now, last winter, Minnesota was, for some, fortunate, they'll say, not having a bad winter.
Right.
Skiers, owners of snowblowers probably weren't as happy.
Right.
Did you get to cover any weather stories at all?
This past year, very little. We covered just a few. I was expecting some bad days, and especially working on the morning show, I went out And I went to North Face and I bought everything you need. Long underwear, wool socks, you know, those snow pants with the suspenders. I had everything, like 3 different hats and all the gloves and the I had, you know, a whole bag of those hand warmers. And there was maybe one day when my feet were really frozen, but, and I get cold pretty quickly, but I was actually okay. I was fine. It wasn't that bad. I'm kind of fearing what will happen in the coming months.
Now, I just saw a report on Facebook today that said this area is supposed to be above normal for temps and less than normal precipitation again. So we'll see. Could be a repeat.
Hopefully, I hope so.
Yeah. Let's ask you some about your interests outside of obviously journalism and covering stories and having that personal contact. What other kind of things interest you in the Twin Cities as far as, you know, places you like to go to?
Yeah, I have become, I've always been a foodie, but living in Minnesota, wow. I mean, I wasn't expecting the incredible food community we have here. How many wonderful restaurants there are, from like your hole-in-the-wall great ethnic food to upscale dining, you know, 5-star restaurants. There's just so many great places to eat, and I love food. I love trying new foods. I would probably eat just about anything, which could be good or bad. Yeah, there's probably nothing I wouldn't try. So I've had a great time just checking out new restaurants, you know, looking up online. I love seafood. I love oysters. I love everything. So yeah, I've had a really good time just testing out the new restaurants and just seeing all there is to see in the cities. And every time I think I've seen it all, someone's like, "Oh, have you been to this and this place?" I'm like, "No, I can't believe I've never been there, because I've seen what I thought was everything, but I haven't." So I love that a lot.
In that vein, have you been able to try any of the food trucks, or have you been to like Midtown Global Market at all and tried any of their food?
I've tried like 1 or 2 of the food trucks. It's
probably
funny.
with their schedules.
Yeah, it's funny because I'll be reporting downtown and I'll be like, mouth
it.
watering. I'm like, I really want to try that. But I've only tried 1 or 2. But they all smell and look delicious. And oh no, you know what? Actually, I've been to one of the farmers markets where I tried a couple more. But I have been to Midtown Global Market. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great spot. Just the atmosphere is really cool and not what you would expect in town. You know, you wouldn't expect to see that here. So yeah, that's a really great place. And there's just so much. And it's not only in the cities. You know, the suburbs have great food too.
Yeah.
And
it's not just what you would typically think of suburbs of the city, of just lots of chains. There's a lot of unique,
oh yeah, absolutely,
unique restaurants.
Right.